There are a number of textbooks that supposedly tell the history of graphic design. However, looking at them more closely reveals that they are often stuck in a dominant culture narrative of this history. One of the best-known examples is Meg's History of Graphic Design. It is widely used while barely covering anything that is not made by a white European or white American man. It is often dismissive of non-Western achievements and ignorant of the developments that graphic design history has undergone. So, I am proposing a new book, a revised history of graphic design. In 17 chapters, this book will attempt to tell a history of graphic design that is more diverse and inclusive than what has been the norm so far. Textbooks often don't adhere to simple academic principles. In contrast, my book will use citations to back up claims, and chapters will be co-written with experts. This book will also not claim to be able to tell an even slightly complete history of graphic design. There are far too many examples to cover. Instead, case studies will be used as examples of broader historical developments and themes. These will be integrated into the book's broadly chronological organization, with each chapter being dedicated to a broader development or theme, with cross-historic examples. For example, Chapter 8 will examine the use of writing by organizations of authority. It will have one case study looking at how, following the breakdown of the USSR, countries changed from the Cyrillic to the Latin alphabet, as a way to show their allegiance with the West. A second case study will cover the use of black letter typeface as a signifier for legal authority. The book will be diverse through the range of employed case studies, as can be seen in Chapters 7 and 10. Chapter 7 will look at the use of painted manuscripts to convey power, with a case study looking at Aztec ancestral maps through which indigenous people were showing their claim of land, and a case study of Mongol dynasties changing the illustrations in the Shahnameh to represent themselves as Persianate rulers. Chapter 10 will cover the use of photography in graphic design. It will feature a European example, Crimean War photography, which was in the mid-19th century the first conflict that was photographed, and a South African example, Drum Magazine, which in the 1950s had a revolutionizing photography workshop and was one of the first examples of Black South Africans being able to visualize themselves through photography. While the book will be internationally focused, it will still have features to appeal to its English language readership. Because of this, there will be a chapter, Chapter 5, dedicated to the development and evolution of the Latin alphabet. Students learning with this book will through this also build the skills they need to employ the Latin alphabet in their own designs. As this book is aimed at graphic design students, it will have a chapter on the origin and evolution of graphic design schools. This chapter will look at early developments of graphic design courses, as can be seen in the South Kensington system in England, as well as very famous examples like the Bern School of Design and the Bauhaus. My book will also teach students about present graphic design developments as a way to future-proof their careers. This will be done in Chapter 17, the last chapter of the book, which looks at the present use of AI in graphic design and the future implications of this. And in Chapter 16, which will focus on making graphic design that is accessible for people with a variety of needs and abilities. The case studies in this chapter will be looking at how certain typefaces can make it easier for people with dyslexia to read, how subtitles are becoming more widely used and can be used for comedic enhancement, and how the use of alt text makes images more accessible for people with sight or processing issues. At its core, this book will try to avoid historicizing graphic design too much, and instead focus on the fundamental reason for graphic design throughout history: communication. Thus, a revised history of graphic design would not just give students a more diverse view of history, but would introduce them to some of the core fundamentals of what it means to be a graphic designer today. Thank you.